Ries, the son of a pastor from Southern California, an addict and a functioning alcoholic. When the high started getting low, he still wanted more.
His story is one of the most amazing testimonies we have ever heard. Without further ado, Mr. Ryan Ries.
I grew up out here in Southern California, Los Angeles, my whole life, and if you grew up out here, you're in the melting pot of everything that births from Los Angeles and Orange County hits the whole world. This is where all the trends are made, and this is where the skateboard culture was birthed, and surfing took off here, and the freestyle motocross was birthed here. Bands are birthed here, like all the big bands, and this is just, when you grow up here, going to LA, you're just in the mix, with everything that's happening. And I grew up actually as a pastor's kid, and all through school and growing up, there was always this people pointing the fingers, like I had to be like my dad, which was a pastor, and it didn't really bug me too much, but I just kind of got over the church from a young age because of that. I never had a problem with Jesus, but I was just bitter at the church. So as I grew up, being around my brothers, they were older. They were about 6 years older. They were part of the skinheads and punk movement here in the 80s when that whole thing was birthed. So I grew up skateboarding and surfing with brothers that were 6 years older than me. So I was surrounded by skinheads and punks and mods at that time. So I was really influenced by that whole culture, just the kind of anarchy, just kind of over society. And my brothers, they had a band called The Key, and it was a big band in Los Angeles. No Doubt used to open up for them. They'd play at the Untouchables, Fishbone, all those big bands that were out at that time, Minor Threat and all these guys. So it was, and I was a little kid able to go to these concerts. When we went to London, I got Doc Martens, I had Monkey Boots, and those things didn't even exist here in Southern California. There was only like one shop that sold them, and that was it. So I was this young kid, in 6th grade, 7th grade, going to school with like Dickies and Doc Martens and, Fred Perry shirts and the whole thing. And that wasn't seen back then, And from there, got into high school and got introduced to weed and cocaine, and started doing weed and cocaine, and that just escalated to LSD and shrooms and all the different things. And high school just kind of took off. When I got into high school, all my brother's friends were seniors, so they just kind of took me under their wing. And I started throwing parties called AWOL parties, and they consisted of nitrous oxide and LSD, and everyone would bring beer. And those parties started taking off. We were having all the surrounding cities coming to these parties, and they were just blowing up. And ended up getting kicked out of school because the way we dressed back then, the skateboard culture was baggy clothes, and they didn't allow baggy clothes. So me and all my friends got kicked out of school. Our junior year, we got kicked out. And plus, we were doing a lot of crazy things back then anyway, selling weed and stuff. So we all got kicked out. And from there, I got introduced to the rave movement. The rave movement just birthed in Los Angeles at that time. It was like in '90. And my friend said, hey, we can go out to LA to these warehouses and drop LSD and eat ecstasy and stay up all night and party. And I was like, all right, well, let's try that. So we went out, and that's when the whole rave movement was birthed out here. We would go to Compton and just busted warehouses, just where they'd be kicking bums out. Starts at like 2 a.m. and a big sound system of speakers, and everyone starts eating acid and ecstasy and doing nitrous for wee hours of the night till the sunrise. And then I really liked that because you could party all night. And my dad was in full-time ministry, doing his thing, and I just kind of pulled away from the whole church thing. And I was selling drugs at the time, like acid and weed. But I was really attracted to the artwork that were on the flyers, so I started going to school at Pasadena Art College. I started doing another club out here in the Inland Empire. Started doing a club there that would actually support me. It was a monthly club, and from there, got into the music industry in LA and started working with like the beat junkies, the hip hop underground scene, and the rave scene. And I met a girl that was a stripper, and basically fell in love with a stripper at that time, and series of events happened after 3 years that we went through a couple of different abortions. I said, well, if you ever get another abortion, just let me know. Or if you're going to get another abortion, let me know, because I don't want that to happen. Let's just have the kid. So months later, she got pregnant again. And so we went to the hospital to check out the kid. We saw the heartbeat and everything. And then about 2 weeks later, she called me up and said that she was going to get another abortion. And I said, don't do it. I want to marry you, and I'm going to buy a house, and we'll just work it out. But she said she was too young and she was going to get an abortion. So she got an abortion, and I said, if you get an abortion, I'm going to leave you. And she decided to do it, so I left her, and it was just, I remember that just like tore my heart out at that point.